The Vancouver housing market, long known for its rapid growth and once considered a lucrative investment hub, is now on the verge of collapse, and no one is ready for the fallout. A new and unexpected crisis is unfolding. Insurance giants, some of the most powerful players in the market, are pulling out of British Columbia's condo sector, leaving homeowners and investors in a state of disbelief. For years, the city's condominium market has been a cornerstone of its real estate economy, but with insurers now backing away from coverage, a catastrophic chain of events is set to unfold. With every passing day, the future of Vancouver's housing market becomes more uncertain, and what once seemed like an unstoppable force is now teetering on the edge of disaster. The numbers speak for themselves. According to the latest data from CMHC, there are more than 5,000 unsold condo units scattered across the Vancouver metropolitan area, a staggering figure for a city that once boasted near zero vacancy rates. Property prices have plummeted, and the once sizzling hot condo market is now cooling faster than anyone could have predicted. Vancouver's condo market was once seen as an investment goldmine. Foreign buyers, investors, and even locals poured their money into these properties, believing they were an unshakable pillar of the local economy. But now, the market is facing the harsh reality of a shrinking demand, rising insurance premiums, and a flood of abandoned properties. The collapse began slowly, with small signs of a slowdown. Rising construction costs, new regulations, and interest rate hikes started to impact developers. But it wasn't until the insurance companies started pulling out that the true scale of the disaster became apparent. As property damage claims soared due to aging infrastructure, water leaks, and structural issues, insurers began to hike premiums. What was once affordable coverage became prohibitively expensive, and many insurers, including some of the biggest players in the industry, simply refused to renew policies. In a matter of months, the already stressed condo market was thrust into chaos, with homeowners struggling to find coverage and developers unable to secure necessary insurance for their projects. As the ripple effect of this insurance exodus spreads across the province, the consequences are becoming clearer. Condo owners who thought they were safe in their investments are now staring at the harsh reality of skyrocketing premiums, unaffordable insurance policies, and a market where property values are rapidly declining. One condo owner, who has lived in Vancouver for over a decade, shared how they had to pay a 300% increase in their insurance premiums just to keep their property covered. "It's impossible to keep up with these costs," they said. "The value of my condo has dropped, and now I can't even sell it because no one will insure it. I'm stuck in this financial nightmare, and there's nothing I can do." The situation is worse for developers. Once the backbone of Vancouver's growing condo market, they are now struggling to keep their projects afloat. The loss of insurance coverage means that construction loans are being pulled, projects are being delayed, and some have been outright canceled. The CMHC's most recent data shows that there are currently over $1.2 billion worth of real estate projects sitting on hold, most of them involving high-rise condos that were supposed to help alleviate the housing shortage in Vancouver. Developers who have spent years planning and funding these projects are now facing bankruptcy. "We never saw this coming," said one developer. "Without insurance, there's no way to continue. We can't even get the financing we need. It's like we've hit a wall." This domino effect has not only devastated individual homeowners and developers, but has also sent shockwaves through the financial sector. Banks, already wary of the housing market's instability, are now refusing to approve new loans for condo buyers. Mortgages are harder to secure, and the cost of borrowing has gone up as interest rates continue to rise. Investors, once eager to buy and flip condos in Vancouver, are now pulling their money out of the market. The result is a market that is simultaneously oversaturated with inventory and lacking in liquidity. In short, the housing market is at a breaking point. To make matters worse, political leaders in British Columbia have been slow to react to the crisis. The provincial government has been caught in a web of contradictory regulations, political infighting, and inaction. While BC Premier David Eby has publicly acknowledged the housing crisis, his efforts to address the issue have been limited to vague promises of affordable housing initiatives and temporary measures. Developers and homeowners alike are frustrated with the lack of concrete solutions. "We need more than just talk. We need action," said one frustrated resident. "The government is not doing enough to address the root causes of this crisis. Instead, they're making it worse by adding more regulations that don't solve anything." The lack of political will to address the crisis has left the housing market vulnerable to systemic collapse. Developers, who once contributed to Vancouver's booming real estate scene, are now the first victims of the insurance exodus. A developer who had to pause an entire project said, "We are in a position where we can't complete our developments and we can't afford to continue." The insurance issue has paralyzed the entire sector. The government has yet to provide a clear roadmap for fixing the crisis, and with every delay, the market continues to spiral further downward. As the crisis deepens, the human cost is becoming painfully evident. Families are trapped in homes they can't afford, unable to sell or even insure their properties. The emotional and financial toll is devastating. Homeowners who poured their life savings into their condos are now left with nothing but debt and uncertainty. Many are struggling to pay their insurance premiums, while others have had their coverage canceled altogether. For some, the weight of this financial burden has led to severe mental health struggles. "I don't know what to do," said one condo owner who has been unable to find insurance. "I feel like I'm losing everything. My property is worth nothing, and I'm stuck paying high premiums for coverage that's barely adequate." The human toll doesn't stop with homeowners. Vancouver's renters are also feeling the squeeze. As condo owners struggle to sell their properties or even cover their insurance, many have chosen to rent out their units instead. But even rental rates are climbing as demand increases and supply dwindles. Renters are now facing rising rents and an even more competitive rental market. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in downtown Vancouver has climbed by over 20% in the past year alone. "I've been here for 5 years, but now I'm thinking of leaving," said one renter. "Rent is skyrocketing, and I don't know how long I can afford to live here." As the crisis spreads, the real threat looming is the potential for a complete collapse of Vancouver's housing market. The domino effect has already begun, and it's only a matter of time before more homeowners, developers, and financial institutions are caught in its path. This crisis is not just a blip in Vancouver's real estate history. It is the beginning of something much bigger, and it could have far-reaching consequences for the entire Canadian economy. If the government doesn't step in soon with decisive action, Vancouver's housing market will continue to unravel. And when it does, the ripple effects will be felt across the nation. The entire economy could suffer as the housing market, once a pillar of stability, continues to disintegrate. The insurance companies pulling out of the market have exposed a fundamental weakness in Vancouver's housing system, and unless this is addressed, the future of real estate in BC looks bleak. What's next? Stay tuned for the next installment, where we explore how the government's failure to regulate the market could lead to an even bigger crisis. The unraveling of Vancouver's housing market is not just a localized crisis, it's a warning sign for what could be a much larger catastrophe, one that will affect not only British Columbia, but the entire Canadian economy. The housing market in Vancouver has long been a driving force behind the province's economic growth. The construction boom, the influx of foreign investors, and the skyrocketing property values all contributed to a sense of invincibility, a belief that Vancouver's real estate market could withstand anything. But now, with insurance giants abandoning BC's condo sector, that illusion of invulnerability has been shattered. The collapse is reverberating through the financial sector. Banks, already skittish due to the high-risk nature of the real estate market, are now pulling back from lending to condo buyers. The tightening of credit is the final straw for a market already on the brink. Without access to affordable loans, potential buyers are being priced out, while those who do have access to credit are facing much higher interest rates. This is a major blow to an already strained market, and it only compounds the challenges faced by homeowners and developers. The lack of financing is hitting developers the hardest. Once the engine of Vancouver's booming condo market, developers are now facing not only the challenge of rising insurance premiums, but also a complete collapse in the demand for new projects. With the insurance exodus, many construction projects have either been delayed or outright canceled. The CMHC's recent reports confirm this, An alarming $1.2 billion worth of condo developments are on hold, with no clear timeline for when these projects will resume, if ever. These delays are not only delaying much-needed housing supply, but also adding fuel to the fire of the housing shortage. The ongoing construction delays are compounding the demand-supply imbalance, making it even harder for Vancouver's residents to find affordable housing. The ripple effects are felt in the rental market as well. With more and more condos being taken off the market or left vacant, the pressure on rental prices has increased dramatically. In the past year, rents in downtown Vancouver have risen by more than 20%, with no sign of slowing down. For renters, this is a nightmare. The city that was once a hub for young professionals and families is rapidly becoming unaffordable. And as Vancouver's housing crisis deepens, there's no end in sight for the skyrocketing rental rates. Renters who were once able to find affordable units in prime locations are now being forced to make tough decisions, either pay higher rent or leave the city altogether. But the problem doesn't end with affordability. Vancouver's housing crisis is also a matter of security and stability. Homeowners, especially those who have invested their life savings into condos, are finding themselves in an untenable position. With their insurance policies either skyrocketing in cost or being canceled altogether, many are left exposed to financial ruin. Those who are unable to secure new insurance policies are left without coverage, while those who are able to afford the exorbitant premiums are seeing their home values continue to drop. Many are now trapped in properties that they can neither afford to insure nor sell. What was once a valuable asset has now become a financial burden, and there is little recourse for these homeowners to salvage their investments. It's also worth considering the emotional and psychological toll this crisis is having on Vancouver's residents. For many, home ownership was once seen as a symbol of stability, security, and success. But now, as the market collapses around them, that dream is slipping further out of reach. Condo owners are left questioning their decisions, wondering if they've made a fatal mistake by investing in Vancouver's once booming real estate market. The financial strain is causing significant emotional stress, and many residents are experiencing anxiety, depression, and feelings of hopelessness as they watch the value of their properties plummet. For some, the impact of the housing collapse is even more profound. A number of Vancouver's younger residents, who had been saving for years to buy their first home, are now wondering if that dream is gone for good. The rising cost of homes, coupled with the collapse of the condo market, has priced many people out of Vancouver altogether. For those who are still living in the city, the dream of home ownership is becoming increasingly elusive. The ripple effects of the housing crisis are not only being felt by those who own property, but also by those who are struggling to get a foothold in Vancouver's competitive real estate market. The question now is whether there is any way out of this crisis. With insurance companies pulling out of the condo market, developers facing bankruptcy, and financial institutions tightening their grip on loans, it's hard to see a clear path forward. Some have suggested that the government should step in to address the crisis, but so far, Premier David Eby and other political leaders have been slow to act. The government has pledged to increase the supply of affordable housing, but the actions taken so far have been largely symbolic. The problem, however, is that the crisis in Vancouver's condo market is not just about affordability, it's about the entire system of housing and development in the city. The root causes of the crisis run deep, and solving them will require a massive overhaul of both provincial and municipal policies. Without decisive action, Vancouver's housing market will continue to spiral downward. And then there is the looming threat of what's next. The collapse of Vancouver's condo market is only the beginning. As more insurance companies pull out and more developers go bankrupt, the crisis will likely spread to other parts of British Columbia. The ripple effects will be felt across the country as other Canadian cities with similar real estate markets begin to experience the same pressures. What is happening in Vancouver could very well be the first sign of a much larger collapse in the Canadian housing market. If the government fails to act, we could be looking at a national housing crisis that could take years, if not decades, to recover from. The future of Canadian real estate is uncertain, and the stakes have never been higher. As we look to the future, it's clear that Vancouver's housing crisis is far from over. The next few months will be critical in determining whether the city can recover from this disaster. If the government can step up and take decisive action to stabilize the market, there may still be hope. But if political leaders continue to sit on the sidelines, the situation will only worsen. The collapse of Vancouver's housing market is a stark reminder that no real estate market, no matter how successful it may seem, is immune to disaster. So, what can you do? If you're a homeowner or an investor in Vancouver, the time to act is now. Don't wait until the situation gets worse. Start making plans for the future, whether that means cutting your losses and selling your property, or finding ways to protect your investments from further damage. If you're renting in Vancouver, now is the time to prepare for rising rents and increased competition for available units. And if you're a potential buyer, proceed with caution. The Vancouver real estate market is no longer the gold mine it once was. It's a ticking time bomb, and it's only a matter of time before it explodes. We will continue to track this crisis and update you on the latest developments. Stay tuned for our next video, where we will explore how this situation is unfolding in real time and what it means for Vancouver's future. Don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 below and hit the subscribe button to stay informed on the latest updates.